best to our readers like you. IJReview.com, your number one source for news and entertainment.
Hey, this is Johnny Cates, author of Buzzkill, and you are tuned in to Vigilant Liberty Radio. Get it on. Coming soon to Vigilant Liberty Radio. The Edge of Anarchy. Mondays on VLR.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com, and you're listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
At Independent Journal Review, we publish news that is objective, fair, and entertaining. As one of the top websites in the United States, it's our duty to bring the absolute best to our readers like you. IJReview.com, your number one source for news and entertainment.
The final half hour of the first 2 hour Right Mike show with Mike Miller and Michael Housen. You can ring us up whenever you'd like, 412-567-6879. You want to weigh in on something we said or something we didn't say. And as I used to say on my previous show, agree, disagree, tell us how awesome we are, or tell us that we're completely full of crap. Just bring some facts if you're going to do the latter. So, Jessica, that story was awesome, wasn't it? I mean, you cannot criticize anyone of color if they do not spell words properly on a college paper, if they do not use proper punctuation, because that's racist.
Yeah, while you guys were talking about that whole thing, I was just befuddled. I was like, what?
You know, excuse me, and it's just another example. It's just another example in a long list of how crazy we have become. And I think the we being everyone else except you and I, but this hypersensitivity to everything that can possibly be looked at as having to do with someone's color. And then the hell of it is, as we said before the break, it does disservice to folks who buy into it, who hear, well, hey, if a college organization at UCLA of all places believes that that people of color should not be held to the same level of expertise, if you will, accomplishment that white people are, then it must be okay. This kind of stuff, it just does so much damage. It does so much damage.
It totally does. It totally does. And like some of the kids are maybe like, oh, we're getting away with getting an A for this stupid thing that we're supporting. But further on down the road, people are going to be like, hey, is this a real degree? Do you actually know what you said you studied, or all this stuff? Or, do you not know anything? Like, that gets brought into question.
I've talked about this in the past, but you being of Hispanic ancestry, you not resented, but you didn't want to be thought of as someone who needs a leg up or a hand up, did you, when you were going to school?
No, I went, they would have like little seminars and things like that for like the Hispanic like scholarship programs and things like that. And every time it was presented in a way where they were like, oh, you guys need this so that you can be so you can compete with the people that had the more advantages and things like that. I was like, I don't need anybody's help to do that. I can work and do it myself. I don't need you to hand me something. I can definitely figure it out on my own.
I don't play golf, but some I often compare stuff like this to somebody who has a whatever 10 handicap, and they're playing someone that has a 2 handicap. Mm-hmm. And based on the handicap, the guy or whomever with the 10 wins by 2 strokes. Well, they didn't win because they still lost by 6 or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's a dopey now.
Well, no, I mean, it works perfectly. It works perfectly well with that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's stick with no, this is with school. Do I want to go there? Well, no, let's do that. We haven't talked about that. We talked a lot on the old Mike Miller show, you and I, on a fairly regular basis. The surge, right, as it was called this past summer, the so-called children, and to be fair, there were more than a fair amount of children, but there were others as well, coming across the border into Texas. At one point, I mean, before it got hot, it's as I've said before, it's as if they might as well have gone ahead and installed people movers like they have at airports, because the people coming in unabated, unchallenged, and they were here. And many of them, I mean, the word was out from Central America and into Mexico, show up, find a border agent, and you'll be taken care of. So if we all remember, the word was out from the government that this would be a high priority, these people, as well as in years gone by, these people would be scheduled, these people who turn themselves in, obviously, would be scheduled with immigration hearings, and then it would be determined what would happen, whether they would stay here or they would be shipped back home, right? Remember, you and I talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Well, try to contain your shock and amazement, but a TV station in Houston, KPRC, looked into this a little bit in terms of how many of these people who came across actually showed up for their hearings. Did you see this story?
I did not, but I can imagine the results.
What would you guess, just off the top of your head? What percentage? Pardon me?
I'm going to say the majority were never seen or heard from again.
Yeah, in excess of 90% of them were never seen or heard from again.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all.
Now, to me, neither. And you know what? I mean, not to be cynical, but to the Obama administration as well. They knew this wasn't going to happen. So this radio station, again, a reporter, KPRC in Houston, tried a couple of different times to get a hold of Department of Homeland Security, didn't get responses, finally did, and they reiterated that all those caught crossing the border after January 1st, this would be of last year, top priority to have their cases decided in immigration court and to track down those who've disappeared. Speaking of percentages, what percentage of those people do you think that they're going to track down that didn't show up?
0.0 something.
Yeah, I don't even know about the something, but yeah, unless someone turns themselves in and says, I just couldn't stand the guilt anymore, I did not show up, which is not going to happen. So there was never the belief on the part of the Obama administration, DHS, nor was there the intent that these people would show up, and B, the intent to find them if they don't. That, in my mind, that was said for the purposes of
politics.
Well, yeah, but specifically trying to shape public opinion to the extent that the Republicans and those opposed to what we're doing right now say these people are just going to have free range, like chickens. We were talking, but yeah, free run of the country. But we're going to make sure they show up for the immigration hearings, and then they will be treated accordingly. That was just all talking points to try to offset the opposition from the right.
Yeah, I don't think at any point anybody and any side of that believed that this would be any different.
And it's not. So going to be interesting to see what happens with the new Congress shows up tomorrow, the new Republican-dominated Senate. Boehner says the first order, among the first is to look at what's going on here in terms of funding for this. But I just don't see any end in sight with it. And again, maybe I'm just too cynical, but as I've also said in the past, you can generally connect anything that Democrat politicians espouse, support, or whatever have you, to the ballot box in not a whole lot of dots. And that's what this is about. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, totally.
All right. So I want to go back to, I changed my mind. I do want to go back to another moonbat story.
All right.
This one's California as well. Our nation's finest centers of higher education. I don't know if I got it right, but I think Howsam thinks UCLA is pretty much on top, right?
Yeah, he said it was in the top 30.
Yeah, I'm being facetious, but yeah, no, exactly. So, student activists, several college campuses, right? University of California, Berkeley, Santa Barbara, San Diego State, are pushing, demanding, if you will, that can't make it up, that schools teach, quote, sexual consent classes to kindergartners.
Oh my gosh, back to teaching the kindergarteners these crazy things.
Well, I mean, even if you go, we talked about it before, and others have as well. I mean, a third or fourth or fifth grader being taught explicit sexual stuff. I mean, but so now we're talking about going to kindergartners and teaching. I would call it programming, shocking, confusing, whatever have you, to teaching them the value of sexual consent. What the hell, as it relates to kindergartners?
Yeah. That's insane. And that's the funny thing is that they probably won't answer the question of where babies come from, but we're totally going to go into details about whether or not you're allowed to do stuff. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's just here's what they say. This is a what the hell's the name of this group? Take Back the Night. I don't get why that's the name. We recommend consent education in K-12, it says. It means kindergarten. I'm not aware of K-12, but in kindergarten. College is too late for people to learn about bodily autonomy and respect. Concerned parents might think we're talking about consent in a purely sexual context when what we're really talking about day-to-day basis. And they even say just in terms of keeping your hands to yourself and everything. I'm sorry, but do you not think that this can confuse the hell out of kindergartners?
Yes, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't know. I think it's just going to end up with a lot of kids with this like weird guilt feelings or something. I don't know. It's not going to.
Well, that's why I think it's confusing because listen, obviously, they're not going to teach the proverbial birds and the bees, right? But they're going to start to get into stuff where little kids don't think like that. Little kids, I don't even think at that age that it's necessarily about boys and girls. Maybe, maybe